2 weeks before my daughter's wedding, she uninvited me because I didn't fit the aesthetic. Then she paid a woman to pretend to be her mom and told everyone I passed away. But I wasn't gone, and with a little help, I made sure everyone knew who really raised her. I always thought helping my daughter plan her wedding would be one of life's sweetest rewards. I pictured us flipping through magazines in our cluttered den, steaming mugs in hand. I'd suggest lace, she'd roll her eyes. We'd bicker about centerpieces, then laugh till our sides ached. After all the years I worked doubles, skipped vacations, and went without so Vanessa could have more. This was supposed to be our moment, and for a while, it was. Vanessa called me every day. "Mom, do you like blush or ivory for the bridesmaids? Can you send Aunt Jeannie's recipe for the bourbon cake?" We even went dress shopping together. I stood in the corner, misty-eyed, watching her twirl in silk. I let myself believe we were close again, like when she was 10 and begged to sleep in my bed during thunderstorms. But I should have known. My gut kept pricking me with quiet warnings. The way she flinched when I asked about meeting Trevor's family, how she dodged questions about the guest list, the odd silence when I brought up the mother of the bride speech. Still, nothing could have prepared me for the call that shattered everything. It came 2 weeks before the wedding. I was in my kitchen, peeling apples for pie, the kind she loved. Her voice was clipped, almost rehearsed. "Mom," she said, "I've been thinking. The theme we're going with, it's kind of minimalist chic. You know, clean lines, modern." I chuckled, not catching the undertone. "Sounds lovely. I'll dig out that silver wrap you always liked." A pause. "I don't think it makes sense for you to come." I stopped mid-peel. "Excuse me?" Her words spilled out like cold water. "It's not personal. It's just the aesthetic. The guest list. Trevor's friends are all very curated. We want a certain vibe. And, well, old-school family stuff doesn't quite fit." I stood there, apple juice running down my wrist, heart plummeting. "Are you uninviting me to your wedding?" She didn't even flinch. "You can still watch the live stream. It'll be beautiful." I don't remember hanging up. I don't remember sitting down. I just remember the way my chest squeezed, sharp and slow, like someone had reached inside and twisted. That night, I didn't sleep. I kept turning over every memory, every sacrifice. I sold my late husband's truck to pay her college deposit. I took out a payday loan to cover her rent that year she interned in LAI ironed uniforms till my fingers cramped, took the bus through snowstorms, skipped dentist appointments. For her. And now I was off-brand. I tried to tell myself she was just stressed, that she'd call back, apologize, say it was a mistake. She didn't. Instead, the next morning, Natalie, my niece, sent me a photo. Vanessa, smiling in white lace, was hugging another woman. The caption? "Couldn't have done this without you, Mom." Not me. A woman I'd never seen before. Blonde. Trim. Probably 10 years younger than me. Perfect teeth and a smug little tilt to her chin. I stared at the screen, my mouth dry. Then I zoomed in on the woman's wrist. A Cartier bangle. The kind Vanessa used to sigh over in magazines. That was the moment my grief cracked open into something sharper. Something colder. Something that said, "No, ma'am. Not this time. You want a new mom? Fine. But I'm about to give you something you'll remember forever." She didn't just replace me, she erased me. The day after Natalie sent that photo, I sat at my old desktop computer, staring at Vanessa's Instagram. My hands hovered over the mouse, heavy with hesitation. I clicked on her profile. Gone. Every photo of me. The mother-daughter tea from her high school graduation? Deleted. The one of us in front of the Christmas tree, when I saved all year to get her that red pea coat she wanted? Vanished. The caption from her 18th birthday, "She's my whole world?" Not a trace. It was like I never existed. And then I saw the new post. Vanessa, in a white silk robe, sipping champagne with that same blonde woman, the one she now called Mom. The caption read, "Bridal brunch with the woman who raised me right." Sparkling heart couldn't have asked for better. My throat tightened. I scrolled through the comments. "You two look like sisters. So classy. runs in the family. And then the one that really hit home, the mother of the bride is goals. I'd just finished reading that when I saw it. Natalie had left a comment. Just one line. Proud of you, V. I frowned. That wasn't like her. I picked up the phone. When she answered, her voice was low, urgent. Aunt Linda, I'm only saying this once. Get off the app. She's watching. I blinked. What do you mean? She's blocking anyone who even mentions you. She told her planner you're no longer in the picture. I felt like someone had punched me in the gut. But Natalie, I gave her everything. I know. And that's why this is so twisted. There was a long pause. Then she added, I didn't just comment to make peace. I needed to stay close. She's hiding something, and I'm going to find out what. I didn't know whether to feel grateful or horrified. I saw the woman she's calling Mom, I said. Who is she? Her name's Deborah, Natalie said. She's some ex-model. Vanessa hired her through an image consultant. She's paying her to pose as her mother for the wedding weekend. I nearly dropped the phone. Paying her? Yeah. Deborah's getting a free stay at the vineyard and a fat check to look maternal in photos. Vanessa told the planner her real mom passed away years ago. I sat down slowly, every muscle in my body sagging with the weight of it. Dead. She told people I was dead. Natalie's voice softened. Listen, I'm not just gonna let this slide. She can cut you off, but she doesn't get to rewrite history. That night, I tried to sleep. I lay in bed, hands folded across my stomach, staring at the ceiling. My body was still, but my mind was a battlefield. How had my baby girl turned into a stranger? Was I too hard on her? Too soft? I remembered when she was in second grade and came home crying because a classmate called her poor. I told her that we may not have had name brands, but we had love, that no label could make her less. She looked at me with wide, trusting eyes. Okay, Mommy. And now here we were. She didn't want poor. She wanted pretty, perfect, polished. She wanted Deborah. And the world seemed happy to play along. The next morning, I brewed my coffee and opened Instagram again. Out of habit, I suppose. My account was blocked. I couldn't see her posts. I couldn't message her. I couldn't even tag her in a photo. She'd cut me off completely. Just like that. Like a weed. That's when the rage set in. You want to curate a new life? Fine. But let's not forget who paid for your first one. Your first apartment? Me. Your car insurance till age 25? Me. Your braces, ballet lessons, your prom dress, your textbooks, your therapy? Me. I walked into the spare room where I kept her old things. Boxes of baby clothes, report cards, drawings, that threadbare teddy bear she called Mr. Pickles, and in the corner, folded neatly in tissue paper, the quilt I made her for college, a patchwork of photos, her first birthday, her graduation, her dance recital, her holding a fish bigger than her head on our only camping trip. I ran my hand across the fabric. My stitches weren't perfect, some corners bunched, a few seams tugged, but it was honest, real, not curated, not aesthetic, just love in fabric form. I folded it back up, tied a ribbon around it, and placed it carefully in a shipping box. I addressed it to the Vineyard Hotel, where I knew they were staying for the wedding. And in the note, I wrote just one line. For the daughter I raised, for better or worse. I knew what would happen. I knew she'd be furious. But she needed a reminder. You can block a person, you can delete their photos, but you can't erase the past. It always finds its way back. Want to hear what happened when she opened that box? I thought maybe she'd find a shred of decency when she saw that box. I imagined her fingers brushing the stitched edges, her chest tightening with guilt, maybe even a tear or two. Instead, she tossed it. Just like that. Natalie texted me the moment it happened. She told the concierge she didn't know who sent it. Said, some creepy woman keeps mailing me homemade stuff. I sat there in my bathrobe, toast untouched on my plate, staring at the message. Creepy. That's what I was now? I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat in that kitchen, the clock ticking too loud, thinking, So this is how far gone she is. But Natalie had other plans. That afternoon she called, whispering so low I could barely hear her. "Aunt Linda," she said, "I got in." "In where?" "The rehearsal." "She doesn't know I'm here yet. I came with a +1 from one of the vendors. Don't ask. I'm in the back with my phone and you're not going to believe this." My heart was pounding now. "Natalie, what are you doing?" She ignored me. "She's up front, rehearsing the mother-daughter speech. With Deborah, she's calling her mom." I clutched the phone tighter, my nails biting into my palm. "What do you mean, speech?" They wrote it together. Vanessa's reading off cards, saying stuff like, "From the moment I was born, my mother taught me grace and dignity." And Deborah's standing there smiling like she earned it. I couldn't breathe. Grace and dignity? I taught her how to sew a hem and unclog a toilet. I taught her how to survive. Natalie kept whispering, "I'm recording it. Not all of it. It'll be too obvious. But I'll get enough." My stomach twisted. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" "I'm sure it's right." I didn't say anything for a moment. The silence stretched long between us. Then I said, quietly, "Be careful." She hung up. The rest of that day, I was useless. I couldn't read, couldn't cook, couldn't think about anything except Vanessa standing up in front of a room full of strangers, pretending a paid actress raised her. I remembered the night Vanessa broke her arm in middle school, how I slept upright in a hospital chair, holding her good hand, whispering lullabies until morning. I remembered the time she failed her driving test and sobbed on the curb. I'd hugged her tight and said, "You're not a failure. You're just human." And now she stood next to a stranger, in designer heels, calling her mom. That evening, Natalie sent me the clip. Just 27 seconds. I hit play with trembling hands. Vanessa's voice was soft, polished, and completely unfamiliar. When I look at my mother, I see a woman who embodies elegance, compassion, and class. She's my anchor and my compass. And Deborah smiled like she'd earned every word. The camera panned, and for one moment, I saw Vanessa's face shift. It was subtle, just a flicker, like a shadow crossing her eyes. Then it was gone. I replayed it 3 times. Then I saved it to my desktop. Natalie texted again. "There's more." She made Deborah practice crying for photos. I overheard the planner call it emotional authenticity coaching. "This is insane." I wrote back, "What are you going to do with the video?" Her reply came seconds later. "I'm not sure yet, but we're not done." I leaned back in my chair, letting the silence wrap around me. Somewhere, miles away, my only child was slipping further into a fantasy where I no longer existed. And yet here was Natalie, fierce and loyal, standing in the shadows with a phone and a plan. Funny, isn't it? Sometimes family isn't the one who shares your blood. It's the one who stays when you're being erased. That night, I opened a fresh notebook, the kind with the thick pages I always save for something serious. And on the first line, I wrote, "She wants a perfect story. Let's give her one." 3 days before the wedding, I did something I swore I never would again. I mailed her another gift, but this time, it wasn't stitched with love or tied in sentimental ribbon. It came in a plain white envelope, delivered straight to the hotel concierge with a card that simply read, "To the bride. May your memories be as curated as your guest list." Inside, a flash drive. And on that flash drive, Natalie's recording. A short, shaky clip of Vanessa standing under fairy lights, arms looped through Deborah's, reciting a speech like she was auditioning for a soap opera. A speech full of lies. Now, I didn't expect a grand reaction. I figured she'd throw it out again, pretend it never arrived. But that night, Natalie called me, breathless with excitement. She opened it. She watched it. "Aunt Linda?" I think she panicked. I could hear people talking in the background. Clinking glasses, footsteps, muffled music. She was still at the venue. "She's been locked in her suite for an hour, her planners knocking every 10 minutes and getting no answer." I said nothing, but something deep in my chest unknotted for the first time in days. Natalie lowered her voice. "You want to know the best part? She's scheduled to give the real version of that speech tomorrow night, at the welcome dinner, in front of everyone." That was the first time I smiled in what felt like weeks. Let her sweat. Let her wonder who else had seen it. Let her wonder who sent it. Let her sit in that expensive hotel robe, staring at a screen and realizing her story had cracks she couldn't smooth over with soft lighting and designer shoes. But Vanessa wasn't stupid. Vain? Yes. Cruel? Clearly. But not stupid. By morning, she'd regrouped. Natalie texted me during breakfast. She's pretending everything's normal, telling people she was up late, writing vows. And then, Deborah's still here, still calling her sweetheart, still playing mom. That's when Natalie made her move. She waited until the planner was distracted, then slipped Deborah a note. Just one line. How much is your performance worth if the real mom goes public? Natalie said Deborah went pale, said she folded the note and shoved it in her purse like it was on fire, said she left the breakfast table early, claiming she, quote, had to check on her flight. The first domino had wobbled. But the show? Oh, it was still on. That night was the welcome dinner. Candlelit tables under the stars, string quartet humming away, guests dressed like magazine ads. Trevor stood near the head table, looking dazed but happy, like a man who had no idea what storm was brewing behind the centerpiece arrangements. And then, right on cue, Vanessa stood up, champagne flute in hand. Deborah beside her in a lavender shawl, perfectly lit from behind. I watched from home, of course. Natalie FaceTimed me from her lap, kept the phone tucked low, pointed discreetly toward the podium. And there she was, my daughter, wearing pearls I didn't recognize, hair swept up like a senator's wife, smile tight as a ribbon about to snap. Some people say you don't get to choose your family, she began, voice soft, breathy, practiced. But I think I've been lucky enough to choose twice. Once, when I was born, and again when I met the woman who helped me become the bride I am today. Natalie whispered, "Oh, she's good. She's editing on the fly." Vanessa kept talking, her words skating just shy of obvious lies. I was raised by strength, by perseverance, but I was also shaped by grace and elegance. She looked at Deborah. "Thank you for teaching me both." The room erupted in polite applause. "But, Natalie?" She turned the camera slightly, just enough for me to see Deborah's face. She was frozen. That smile? Fragile as glass. I leaned toward the screen and I saw it. Her eyes flicking toward the guests, scanning for someone. Probably wondering who else had seen the footage. Who might recognize a woman cashing in on someone else's motherhood. Natalie sent me a message after the speech. Deborah asked to leave early. She's checking out of the hotel tomorrow. I stared at that text for a long time. She was running. Good. But Vanessa? She still thought she could patch it all up with champagne and charm. She had no idea what was coming. Because Natalie wasn't done. And neither was I. The next morning I woke up early, made a strong cup of coffee, pulled my laptop into my lap and clicked open a video editing program I hadn't used since Vanessa's graduation montage. And there, in a file labeled truth01.mp4, I dragged Natalie's footage onto the timeline. I wasn't sure what the endgame was yet, but one thing I knew for certain. Vanessa wanted a storybook wedding. One polished and perfect and full of beautiful lies. Well, I had a story too. And soon, the whole world would hear it. I worked through the night, sat at my old kitchen table, the one with the uneven leg that wobbles just enough to spill your tea if you're not careful. The same table where I'd once helped Vanessa with her homework, where we shared birthday cake and cried together after her first heartbreak. Now I was hunched over it, headphones in, stitching together a different kind of memory. Truth. I cut the video down to 54 seconds. That's all I needed. Just long enough to show Vanessa rehearsing that fake speech. Just long enough to hear her call Deborah Mom. And just long enough for the world to see the look on Deborah's face. Tight-lipped, blinking too often, like someone trying to swallow a lie too big for her throat. Then, I added one sentence of text. Her real mother wasn't invited. No hashtags, no dramatic music, no commentary. I didn't need any. I sent the clip to Natalie. She posted it from a burner account she used for work, nothing tied to our names. By noon, It had 2,000 views. By dinner time, over 50,000. It was spreading. People thought it was satire at first. Who hires a fake mom? Is this a movie promo? No way this is real, right? But then Natalie replied to a few curious accounts with vague truths, just enough to stoke the fire. Bride didn't invite her real mom. Said she, quote, didn't fit the vibe. Woman in video was hired for the wedding weekend. Yes, there's more coming. And that was all it took. By morning, it had gone viral. Every wedding blog, TikTok gossip channel, and social commentary page was talking about it. Hashtag fake mom bride was trending. Natalie and I said nothing. We watched it unfold like spectators at a wildfire. Vendors who had worked the wedding started commenting anonymously. The makeup artist dropped a subtle bomb. Was wondering why the bride kept practicing crying on cue. Now it makes sense. A floral designer said she was told to emphasize peonies over daisies because the mother of the bride's taste was outdated. Someone even leaked a rooming list. No Linda Dawson. But guess who was listed? Deborah Matthews. Guest title, Mother of the Bride. That's when things started to collapse. Trevor's aunt, God bless her, posted a comment under one of the viral videos. Wait, where's Vanessa's real mom? I met her at their engagement party. Sweet woman. Worked 2 jobs for years, if I remember right. The dam cracked. Natalie texted me, practically vibrating. Trevor saw it. I held my breath. She followed up. He's pissed. Said he thought Deborah was a family friend. He didn't know she was hired. And then, he's demanding answers. I don't know what I expected. Honestly, part of me still thought maybe he'd sweep it under the rug, the way men sometimes do when they don't want to deal with family drama. But Natalie said he stormed out of the hotel, left Vanessa mid-makeup trial, in full daylight, in front of the planner and 2 bridesmaids. He asked her one question. Did you really tell people your mom was dead? And when she didn't answer fast enough, he walked. Natalie caught the whole thing. Not the audio, just the visual. Vanessa chasing after him in satin slippers, hair full of bobby pins, shouting his name across the parking lot. It hit the gossip accounts within the hour. The story had legs now. It wasn't just a wedding scandal, it was a narrative. The perfect bride who hired a perfect mom. At first I felt guilty. I won't lie to you. It hit me right in the chest. But then I remembered the moment I saw that Instagram caption, "Couldn't have done this without you, Mom." And I remembered the years I worked while sick. The nights I skipped dinner so she could have enough. No, this wasn't revenge. This was balance. Natalie sent me one more message before bed that night. Just a screenshot of a deleted comment Vanessa had posted. Please stop sharing lies. You don't know the whole story. And under it, someone had replied, then tell us, where's your real mom? Vanessa didn't answer. She never could. You can hide your past behind lace and lavender lighting, but eventually the spotlight shifts. And when it does, the truth doesn't need an invitation. It shows up anyway. It happened 2 nights before the wedding. Natalie texted me at 6:02 p.m. She's going live in 15. You watchin'? You bet I was. I poured a glass of iced tea, pulled my cardigan close, and sat down on the sofa like it was Sunday night and a scandal was about to air on cable. And in a way, it was. At 6:17 on the dot, Vanessa's face appeared on screen, polished, powdered, and puffy-eyed. The caption read, setting the record straight. Please be kind. The view count soared. 5,000. Then 10. By the end of the first minute, 23,000 people were watching. She sniffled, gave a brave smile. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to come on and talk about some things that have gotten way, way out of hand. I could practically hear Natalie groan from across the state. Vanessa blinked dramatically. Yes, there was someone helping me with the wedding who isn't my biological mom. But it was never meant to hurt anyone. It was a tribute. A tribute. I nearly spit my tea. She kept going. Deborah has been like a second mother to me for years. She helped me through some difficult chapters. And honestly, I didn't think my real mom would be comfortable with the atmosphere. There it was. That word again. Atmosphere. Like I was a storm cloud rolling in to ruin her pastel tablescape. My jaw clenched. I love my mom, she said, a little too quickly. But she's very traditional. We've had our differences. I didn't want her to feel out of place. Thousands of comments poured in. So you faked a new mom? You told people she was dead. Girl, just say you're embarrassed of your mom. Vanessa's smile faltered. Then, right on cue, a moderator popped into the chat, probably her publicist, begging folks to keep it civil. Vanessa glanced off screen, clearly reading the comments. Her hand twitched. I didn't delete my mom, she stammered. We've just grown apart. Then her voice dropped. Bitter. Small. She's not like everyone else. She didn't go to college. She doesn't really understand social media or how things work now. She still wears the same old keds she wore when I was in high school. And there it was, the real voice slipping through. Not grief, not guilt, disgust. I felt my face go hot. Not because she insulted my shoes. I wore those damn keds through double shifts at the hospital. No, it was the way she said it. Like my existence embarrassed her. Like the woman who wiped her nose and packed her lunches and sat through 23 straight hours of labor was less than because I didn't shop at Nordstrom or post filtered brunches. Someone in the chat posted, "Sis, just say you're ashamed of your working class mom and go." The floodgates broke. People started tagging sponsors, the hotel's brand, the dressmaker, even a wellness tea company she'd once promoted. I watched in silence as her face drained. Then, the moment that made it unforgettable, Vanessa rubbed her temples and muttered, barely audible, but caught by the mic. God, I was just trying to have a perfect wedding. Why does everything have to be so complicated? Then she looked at the screen and said, my mom's just too ordinary, okay? I froze. The chat exploded. Wow, what's wrong with being ordinary? That ordinary mom paid for your education. Unreal. And then the stream cut. Just gone. Black screen. Natalie called me 5 minutes later. Her agency just dropped her. What? I asked. She signed a partnership deal last week with a skincare brand. They pulled out midstream. One of their reps saw the live and messaged her planner. It's done. I didn't know what to say. Part of me was stunned. Part of me was quietly, shamefully satisfied. Natalie kept talking. Trevor postponed the honeymoon, told the planner to pause all travel bookings. He's not speaking to her. I blinked. Is he still at the venue? No. He's staying at a motel outside town. Told my friend he feels catfished emotionally. I didn't laugh. Not then. But I will admit, hearing those words, I felt something shift inside me. Not revenge, not triumph, justice. She'd spun a lie, so polished, so picture perfect. She actually believed she could stand in front of thousands and fake her way through motherhood. But truth doesn't care about your aesthetic. It doesn't care how curated your life is. It shows up in frayed shoelaces, in the calluses on your mother's hands, in the way your real mom taught you to stand up straight and look people in the eye. It shows up in ordinary shoes and extraordinary love. And now, the world finally saw the difference. 2 days after the live stream, I was out in the backyard, trimming my rose bushes, when my phone buzzed. Mom, please. That was it. No apology, no explanation, just a crumb. I stared at it until the screen went dark. I didn't respond. 10 minutes later, another one came. I never meant for it to go this far. Please talk to me. Ah, there it was. Not sorry for lying. Not sorry for erasing you. Just sorry she got caught. Natalie called me around lunch. She's in full PR meltdown, she said, not even saying hello. She had a podcast interview lined up next week. They dropped her. Good, I muttered. She tried to do a soft rebrand, posted a picture of Deborah holding hands with her, and captioned it, "Chosen family is still family." I raised my eyebrows. She didn't. Oh, she did. Comments lit her up. Someone posted a side-by-side of you at her high school graduation and Deborah holding a mimosa. The caption said, "One raised her. One raised a glass." I choked on my coffee. "That's not even the best part," Natalie continued. Some wedding blogger called it the most haunting aesthetic implosion since the Couch in a Field photo shoot of 2017. And just like that, I laughed. Really laughed. It bubbled up out of me like warm soup on a cold day. Startled me with how light it felt. I hadn't laughed in weeks. Natalie paused. "Aunt Linda, I think she's unraveling. Like, for real." I knew what she meant. Vanessa had always been high-strung. Even as a little girl, a crooked ponytail could ruin her whole day. But this was different. This was public shame. The kind you can't crop or edit. Still, I didn't reply to her messages. I needed space. But Vanessa didn't stop. The next day she sent a video. Just her face, puffy eyes, no makeup, sweats, hair tied up like she hadn't slept. She started talking the moment the camera turned on. "Hi, Mom," she said softly. I froze, standing in my kitchen with a sponge in one hand and a cup in the other. "I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. And I don't expect you to forgive me. I didn't think people would care this much. I thought if I could just get through the wedding, everything would settle down." She let out a shaky breath. "I wasn't trying to erase you. Everything felt like too much. I didn't want to be the girl with the working class mom and the dead dad and the old shoes. I wanted a fresh start." There it was again. Working class mom. Old shoes. Like love came with a label. "I know it sounds awful," she whispered, but I was scared. Trevor's family is so polished. I thought they wouldn't understand. I thought they'd look at me different. She sniffled. "And now Trevor's not even speaking to me. He's staying at a Marriott with his brother. My planner won't answer my emails. Half my sponsors dropped me. Deborah blocked me." I blinked. "Blocked her?" "Yeah," Natalie confirmed later. "After all this, Deborah bailed and scrubbed her socials. Can't blame her." Back to the video. I keep thinking about that quilt," Vanessa said. Her voice cracked. "I threw it out, like it was trash. And now I'd give anything to see it again." She looked down. Her lip trembled. "I remember the square with the two of us at the zoo, and the one where I lost my first tooth. I didn't even say thank you, did I?" She looked up again, right into the lens. "Mom, I don't deserve it. I know that. But I miss you." Then the screen went black. I stood there in the kitchen, the sponge still dripping water onto the floor, heart pulled in two directions. Because here's the thing. She sounded like the little girl I used to tuck in at night. But I couldn't forget the woman who'd called me too ordinary in front of the world. Natalie called again that evening. "What are you gonna do?" I exhaled slowly. "Nothing yet." "You're not going to respond?" "She doesn't need me. She needs consequences. And besides, she didn't really want me. She wanted a mop, a reset button, a way to clean up the mess without facing the reason it started. No. She made her choices. And choices come with shadows. And mine? Mine was finally stepping out of hers. The next morning, I got a call I never expected. Trevor. Not a text. Not an email. An honest-to-goodness phone call. When I answered, I almost didn't recognize his voice. "Mrs. Dawson?" He still called me that. I paused. "Trevor?" "Yes, ma'am." "I hope this isn't too forward, but I didn't know who else to talk to." His voice cracked a little. "I don't even know what's real anymore." That boy always struck me as gentle. A little naive, maybe, but good-hearted. The kind who offered to carry your groceries without being asked. And now he sounded like a man who'd stepped into quicksand and realized the shoreline was farther than he thought. I didn't say anything, just waited. He took a shaky breath. "Vanessa said you didn't want to come to the wedding, that you two hadn't spoken in years. She told me you were controlling, cold, that you didn't support her dreams. I swallowed hard. And then I saw the clip, the one with Deborah. His voice shifted. Lower, steadier. She lied to everyone, even her bridesmaids, even me. I thought Deborah was her aunt. I didn't know she hired her. Didn't know she told people her mom was dead. A pause, then softer. I'm so sorry. It wasn't my job to comfort him. But part of me felt sorry too. For him. For the mess he didn't see coming. I never wanted her to lose you, I said gently. I just wanted her to stop pretending I was never there. He let out a quiet, bitter laugh. Well, she might have done both. And then, with the kind of honesty only a man on the edge can muster, he said, "Can I ask you something?" I nodded before realizing he couldn't see me. Go ahead. What happened to her? Like, how did she become this? That one stung. Because the truth is, I still asked myself the same question. I raised her with love, with grit. I taught her to work hard, to be kind. I gave up everything so she could have more. And maybe that was the problem. Maybe I gave so much that she thought love always meant sacrifice. Someone bending so far they forgot how to stand up straight. I think, I said carefully, somewhere along the way she started believing the world would only love her if she looked perfect. And once you believe that, you start pruning everything that doesn't fit the picture. Trevor was quiet for a long time. Then, barely above a whisper, she said you embarrassed her. I didn't flinch. I'd heard worse. I wore the same shoes for 20 years, I said. That tends to upset people who live through filters. He chuckled, then cleared his throat. I'm sorry again. Really. I don't know what happens next, but I needed to hear from you. Just once. The real you. I thanked him. Told him he had more decency in that one call than some people muster in a lifetime. We didn't say goodbye. Just sat there in the quiet until the line disconnected. Natalie called later that night. Guess who just moved out of the suite? I already knew. Trevor? Yep. Took his bags, canceled the joint credit card, and left Vanessa bawling on the balcony. Said he needed space to, quote, rethink the foundation. I raised my brows. That's a very polite way to say run for the hills. Natalie snorted. Girl, if I were him, I'd sprint. But that wasn't all. She sent me a screenshot of Trevor's private social post, shared only with close friends. Sometimes the truth doesn't come in a scream. It comes in a stitch, a quiet quilt, a woman the world never saw, but who never stopped showing up. I see you now. No tags, no names. But I knew who it was for. And just like that, the hurt didn't disappear. But it felt less lonely. Because someone finally saw me. Not as background. Not as too much. Not as too ordinary. But as real. Solid. Enough. Later that week, someone from the local news reached out to me. Said they were covering a human interest story about viral wedding scandals and wanted to feature the forgotten mother with the stitched quilt. I politely declined. I didn't need a spotlight. The world had already seen what they needed to see. And Vanessa? She was still scrambling. Still chasing brand deals. Still trying to shape the narrative. But it was too late. Truth had already unpacked its suitcase and settled in. 2 days later, she tried to pull a Hail Mary. A rebrand. Natalie texted me mid-morning. She's hosting a charity brunch. For real women, real moms. I stared at the screen like it was written in another language. Excuse me? I called Natalie immediately. What kind of nonsense is that? She's making it sound like this whole thing was intentional. Like she was trying to start a conversation about mother-daughter dynamics. I blinked. She called me too ordinary less than a week ago. Natalie sighed. Yep, but now she wants to uplift everyday mothers. And she's inviting you. I let that sit for a second. Vanessa, who tossed my quilt like trash. Vanessa, who hired a stranger to fake affection for wedding photos. Vanessa, who said I didn't fit her aesthetic. Now she wanted to parade me out like a human press release? I'm guessing there's press, I asked dryly. Oh, plenty, Natalie said. Local outlets. Influencer live streams. She's even got a mom blogger panel lined up. And get this, she put you on the schedule as a surprise guest. My mouth tightened. She thinks she can turn me into a prop, a redemption arc, pretty much. And I'll admit it, part of me wanted to go. To march into that boutique cafe in my scuffed sneakers and speak the truth. To look those pretty cameras dead in the eye and say, she didn't want a mother, she wanted a mascot. But I didn't. I didn't need to explain myself to anyone. Not anymore. She'd built a tower out of glass lies, and the sun had already done the rest. I wrote her a short reply. Vanessa, I won't be attending. Some things shouldn't be branded. They should be healed. Take care. I didn't hear back. Natalie went to the brunch, just to report back. She said the venue was small, but crammed with ring lights, clinking mimosas, and women trying to look effortlessly maternal in coordinated pastels. And there was Vanessa, sitting on a velvet stool, speaking into a microphone like she was hosting a talk show. She looked tired, Natalie said later, pale. Makeup couldn't hide it, but she still smiled like nothing was wrong. She mentioned me. Oh yeah, spun this tale about reconciliation, said she was reconnecting with you, said you chose privacy over publicity. I snorted. Well, that part's true. Natalie sent me a photo someone snapped during the panel. Vanessa, mid-sentence, a smile on her face, but her eyes, empty. And behind her, barely in frame, a decoration I'm sure she didn't choose. A patchwork-style quilt hung on the wall, part of the theme. Not my quilt, just something made to look like one. I zoomed in, stared at the fabric. Cheap imitation. No history in those stitches. And I knew then, she still didn't get it. Love isn't a centerpiece. It's the call at midnight, the hand on a fevered forehead, the lunch packed without thanks, the kind of love that leaves fingerprints on your soul, not your Instagram. And that kind of love doesn't need a microphone. Later that night, I took my real quilt, the one she threw away, but Natalie had fished from the trash and laid it across my bed, soft, heavy, familiar. Each square a little world, her first lost tooth, her 6th grade science fair. That weekend we got caught in the rain and laughed all the way home. I ran my fingers over the threads. Forgiveness isn't a switch. It's not a brunch with hashtags or a heartfelt post after being dragged. It's a long walk through grief and memory and honesty. And sometimes it never comes. Not all the way. And that's okay. That's not bitterness. That's boundaries. Vanessa tried to win back the world with a smile and a soundbite. But I didn't need the world. Just my own peace. 2 days passed in quiet. The frenzy died down. The hashtags faded. A newer scandal took its place. That's how the internet works. Fast to judge, faster to forget. But then came the letter. Not an email, not a DM. A real, handwritten letter. Natalie dropped it off herself, her face unreadable. She asked me to deliver this, said it's the only thing she knew you'd open. I took it slowly, ran my fingers over the envelope. Thick paper. My name written in Vanessa's perfect cursive, just like the place cards she used to make for her stuffed animals at tea parties. I waited until I was alone, poured a fresh cup of coffee, sat at the table where I once folded her baby clothes, then opened it. Mom, I don't know how to start, so I'll just say it plain. I was cruel and cowardly, and I don't deserve your forgiveness. I told myself I had to build a new life, a better one, that if I could just control every detail, my home, my photos, my wedding, I could finally feel like I belonged somewhere. But I erased the one person who's always belonged with me. You. I stopped reading. My hands were trembling. I set the letter down, breathed, then picked it up again. When I was little, I used to watch you put your hair up before work. I'd sit on the bathroom counter and try to copy you. You didn't know I was watching, but I was. You looked so strong, like nothing could touch you. But I know now. You were tired, and worried, and doing it all anyway. You gave me everything, and I repaid you with silence, with shame. I told the world You didn't fit my vision. But the truth is, I didn't fit yours. I was too small for your kind of love. Too scared to admit that it made me. I'm sorry. That was the part where the ink had smudged. A small water ring. Probably a tear. But who's to say? I understand if you never want to speak to me again. I don't expect a reply. I just wanted to give you the one thing I never did. The truth. I love you. Vanessa, I folded the letter carefully, pressed my palms against the paper, grounding myself in the weight of her words. And then I cried. Not from pain. Not this time. From release. Because this wasn't about making it okay. It wasn't about tying everything in a neat little bow. This was a reckoning. And a reckoning, when done right, clears the air for something new. Something honest. Later that day, I sat down to write her back. I didn't write much. Just a small card with a watercolor teacup on the front, the kind she would have liked when she was 10. Inside I wrote, Vanessa, I love you. But love without truth becomes performance. You don't have to prove anything to the world. Just learn how to show up. Messy, flawed, real. That's enough. It always was. Take care. Mom. I didn't invite her over. I didn't offer a fresh start. I didn't give her the full warmth of welcome. Because that kind of warmth, she'd have to earn. But I left the door open. Just a crack. Enough for air. Natalie called later that week. She got your note. Did she say anything? No. But she's different. Quiet. No more posts. No interviews. Just quiet. Good. She needed quiet. Time to sit with her choices, not spin them. As for me, I started sleeping through the night again. Deep, dreamless sleep. The kind you only get when your soul finally unclenches. I planted daffodils in the backyard. I took my quilt out of the cedar chest and laid it across the foot of my bed, not as a wound, but as a witness. And when the neighbor boy waved at me from his tricycle, I waved back, smiled wide, because I knew, now more than ever, that being too ordinary was the most radical thing a mother could be. I thought that might be the end of it. But the internet wasn't done with her yet. You see, once a lie cracks wide open, it stops being a scandal and starts being entertainment. It started with a meme. Someone took a freeze frame of Vanessa's live stream, the exact moment she said I was too ordinary, and captioned it, "When you trade your real mom for aesthetic but forget the internet has receipts." It went viral again. And this time, it wasn't sympathetic. Fashion pages mocked the real mom's brunch as tone-deaf. Influencer gossip channels dubbed her bride of denial. A YouTube commentary video titled, "Mother of the Bride, the Hired Edition," racked up 2 million views in 3 days. They edited her speech into one of those sad piano reels, then cut in shots of lunch ladies and tired nurses with the text, "Ordinary? You mean essential." I didn't laugh, but I didn't cry either. It was surreal, watching strangers defend me without knowing me. Women from all walks of life filled the comment sections with their own stories. My mom cleaned offices at night and never missed a parent-teacher meeting. Ordinary is sacred. She sounds like the kind of girl who grew up loved and didn't know it until she tried to buy the world's approval and got the receipt instead. And then came the biggest twist. A well-known PR agency posted a thread on X, formerly Twitter. If you're looking to build a brand rooted in authenticity, don't erase your past. Don't hire fake family. Don't shame the people who made you. #brand lessons. They didn't tag Vanessa, but they didn't need to. Everyone knew. Natalie called, stunned. She's become a cautionary tale. And just like that, all her careful scaffolding, every filter, every brand partnership, every hashtag about elevated living collapsed under the weight of something she couldn't control. Memory. People remember who shows up for them, who raised them, who stayed. And no amount of lavender centerpieces or choreographed speeches could compete with the kind of love that gets its hands dirty. One day, Natalie sent me a photo someone had taken of their TV screen. A national morning show had done a segment called the age of authenticity when weddings cross the line. They blurred Vanessa's face. But not the quilt. There it was, front and center, a still image of my stitches. One tiny square showing Vanessa at age 6, gap-toothed and grinning, arms flung around a birthday balloon. The host said, "This is what the bride tossed aside." Her mother had handmade a memory quilt and it was thrown away because it didn't match the wedding's aesthetic. Another host, eyes wide, shook her head. "She didn't deserve that, Mom." I didn't cry. I just stood in my living room, watching that quilt on a national screen and whispered, "That's right, she didn't." But here's what surprised me most. Messages started rolling in. Strangers. Women I'd never met. "Linda, your story gave me the courage to call my own mom. Thank you. I'm a mom who was left off the invite list too, but your grace helped me stop feeling ashamed." And then, weeks later, a journalist reached out, wrote a feature titled, "The Mother They Tried to Crop Out, A Story of Quiet Strength." I agreed to one quote. Just one. She asked me, "What would you say to mothers who feel like they've been forgotten?" I paused, thought of that kitchen table. The night I opened Vanessa's letter. The years of sacrifice that no camera ever caught. And I said, "They'll try to make you feel small, like love should be shiny or new or filtered. But your love, the quiet kind, the ordinary kind, is what makes the world turn. Don't let anyone tell you it wasn't enough. It was everything." They printed it beneath the photo of the quilt. That was all I needed. No revenge. No viral victory lap. Just the truth. On paper. A few days after the article ran, Vanessa posted something. A single photo. No caption. Just the two of us. She was maybe 7. We were standing outside the community center. I was holding her hand. We were both smiling. You could see my scuffed sneakers. You could see the love clear as day. She didn't tag me. She didn't need to. The internet saw it anyway. They commented, "She's finally owning it. Best post she's ever made. Too late for the wedding, but maybe not too late for the truth." Natalie called later that night. "You okay?" she asked. "I'm better than I've been in years," I said. And I meant it. Because finally, the world didn't see me as a prop. They saw me as a mother. Real, ordinary, unforgettable. So when she showed up at my door, I wasn't surprised. I was in the garden, pulling weeds, when I heard the crunch of tires on gravel. I stood slowly, wiped my hands on my apron, and there she was. No film crew, no borrowed pearls, just my daughter. Hair pulled back, no makeup, jeans, wrinkled hoodie. She stood there, gripping the straps of her purse like she was hanging on for balance. "Hi," she said softly. "Hi." We stared at each other a moment. The wind rustled through the trees behind her. Somewhere down the road, a dog barked once. "I didn't call first," she said. "I didn't want to give myself a chance to chicken out." I nodded, said nothing. She glanced down at her shoes. Sneakers. Newer than mine, but plain. "I'm not here for show," she added. "I'm not here for forgiveness either. I need to see you. Not as a headline. Not as a symbol. Just you." I looked at her. Really looked. For the first time in years, she wasn't performing. No softened voice. No curated sorrow. Just raw. Human. Like the girl I once rocked through fevers, who used to slip her tiny hand into mine without asking. "I made tea," I said finally. "It's inside if you want it." She blinked, like she hadn't expected me to offer even that much. She followed me in, stepping carefully over the threshold like the floor might break under her. I poured us both a mug. The old kind, chipped on the lip, but still sturdy. The kind that lasts. We sat at the kitchen table in silence for a bit, just sipping. Then, she reached into her purse, pulled out something wrapped in tissue. I found this," she said, placing it gently on the table. I hesitated, then unwrapped it. The button, from her baby coat, the red one with little ducks on the collar. I'd sewn it back on 3 times before finally replacing the whole thing. I'd kept that button in my sewing box for years, until it vanished. I kept it, she said, voice breaking. Even when I moved. Even after everything. I don't know why. I held the button in my palm, running my thumb over the ridges. It was warm from her hand. You do know why, I said quietly. She wiped at her cheek, nodded. I thought if I could pretend none of it mattered, none of the messy parts, I could finally matter to people like Trevor's family, like brands, like followers. She laughed bitterly. But the truth is, I never felt smaller than when I was trying to look big. She looked up at me. I missed you. Even while I was trying to erase you. I missed you so bad it made me cruel. I sat back. Let that land. She was owning it, fully. Not spinning it. Not dressing it up in pity or excuses. Just sitting in the middle of her mess and refusing to flee. That mattered. That button, I said after a moment, was from the day you lost your first tooth. You were wearing that coat when I took you to the library. You told the clerk, I'm brave now. I'm one tooth short, but I'm strong. She smiled barely. You remember that? Of course I do. Silence again. But this time, it felt less like a void, and more like space, room. She reached into her purse one last time, pulled out a worn photo. Her, at age 4, in my lap. Her head tipped back in laughter. My arms around her. She placed it between us like an offering. I don't want to live in the past, she said. But I want to stop running from it. I nodded. Then, stop. She looked at me, eyes shining. Can I come back? Not into your house. Just into your life? I thought about it. Not long. Yes, I said. But then I leaned in, voice firm. But on my terms. She nodded. Quickly. Anything. No more lies, I said. No more hiding me behind curtains while you shine a spotlight on strangers. I swear, she whispered. And if this is ever about image again, I'm gone. She nodded again. It won't be. I believed her. Not because I wanted to, because she finally looked like a woman ready to walk through the long, hard road of rebuilding, brick by brick, button by button. I stood, walked to the hallway, and brought back the quilt. Her breath caught. You kept it. I almost didn't, I said. But Natalie did. She pulled it from the trash. She pressed her lips together, reached out a hand, then stopped. May I? I placed it in her arms. She buried her face in the squares, the threads, the memories. Then I sat back down, wrapped both hands around my mug, and stared out the window. I'm not sure what will be after this, I said, but maybe we'll be something real. She nodded, tears slipping down her cheeks. And for the first time in a long time, I saw her. Not the brand, not the bride, just my daughter. The next few weeks were quiet. No grand gestures. No long heart-to-hearts, just a rhythm, small and slow. She'd call once a week. Sometimes we talked about nothing. Weather, recipes, the new neighbors down the road. Sometimes we didn't talk at all, just sat on the phone in silence. But she stayed consistent. And that mattered. One Tuesday afternoon, she showed up with groceries. I thought I could cook, she said, holding out a paper bag. Like old times. I raised a brow. Old times, huh? You used to burn boxed macaroni. She grinned sheepishly. I YouTubed things. I swear I can saute now. She couldn't. But we made do. The kitchen smelled like butter and panic, and I had to stop her from setting the dish towel on fire. But still, when we sat down and ate that slightly crispy pasta, I felt something settle in my chest. A loosening. After dinner, she helped with the dishes, without being asked. That part was new. She dried a plate, then leaned her hip against the counter. I got a job. I blinked. What kind? Community center, she said. Social media and events, local, small scale. Real people. I raised an eyebrow. Voluntary rebrand? No, she said, and for once, there was no defense in her voice. Just reality. Then she glanced at the living room. You still have the quilt? I nodded toward the cedar chest. I keep it where it's safe. She hesitated. Can I see it again? I pulled it out, unfolding it with care. She sat on the floor, cross-legged like a little girl, and ran her fingers over the fabric. I've been thinking, I want to make one. A quilt? Yeah, not like this. I could never do what you did. But something. With my own hands. Maybe for someone who needs it. I stared at her for a beat. Then I said, you know, that quilt almost had a different ending. She looked up. What do you mean? I sat down next to her, knees cracking like old floorboards. I was going to donate it, right after Natalie told me you tossed it. I couldn't bear to look at it. She nodded, eyes lowered. But something stopped me. I said, what? I reached into the chest again, pulled out a square I'd never stitched in. It was small, faded. A photo of her and me on the front step, her arms looped around my neck, both of us mid-laugh. I found this one the day you blocked me online, I said. Wasn't part of the original quilt. It fell behind the dresser years ago. She took it in her hands, stared. I almost sewed it in the next day, I said. Thought maybe it would be the closing square. Vanessa looked up, eyes full. Why didn't you? Because I realized something, I said, voice steady. This wasn't the end. Just the part where the thread got tangled. She clutched the square to her chest. Can I have this? No, I said gently. But you can help me finish it. She blinked. You mean? I've left room for 2 more squares, I said. 1 for your apology. 1 for what comes next. She smiled, and it was different this time. Not polished. Not camera ready, just hers. Do I have to sew it myself? She asked. Absolutely, I said. Might prick your fingers a little. She grinned. I deserve that. We sat there a while longer, side by side, fabric in our laps. Later that night, after she left, I stood in the doorway, watching her car disappear down the road. And for the first time in a long time, I didn't feel like someone had taken something from me. I felt like something was coming back. Not the daughter I used to know. Not the picture-perfect child she tried to become. But someone new. Someone growing. And I was growing too. Want to hear how Vanessa's quiet redemption leads to one last public moment neither of us expected, and the final message that left the whole room speechless? Вы сказали, next chat GPT сказал. Approximately equals 1040 words, part 14. The last mic and the last word recap. Vanessa began mending things, square by square, literally. She asked to help finish the quilt. Not for show, not for posts, just for truth. And for the first time, I believed her. It was Natalie who called with the news. They're doing a panel at the community center. Motherhood and memory. Vanessa's on it. I almost laughed. You're kidding. Nope. It's not a big deal. Like, 10 people and folding chairs. But they asked her to close the night. And she said yes? Actually. Natalie paused. She asked if you'd do it with her. I nearly dropped the phone. She. What? She doesn't want to talk alone. She wants you up there too. But only if you want to. She said it's yours to decline. I sat down at the table, the quilt resting in my lap. That last square we'd worked on together. Stitched tight, a little crooked, but honest. I'll think about it, I said. And I did. For 3 days. I thought about everything. From the first call I got disinvited, to the live stream, to the moment she handed me that baby coat button like it meant something. Then I said yes. Not for her. Not for the audience. For me. Because sometimes healing looks like walking into the very space where you were erased and standing there anyway. The night of the event, the center was small but packed. Metal chairs, fluorescent lighting, paper cups of warm cider. Nothing glamorous. Perfect. I wore a navy dress and my best shoes. Not new. Not flashy. But mine. Vanessa waited by the stage, twisting a note card in her hands. When she saw me, her face softened into something that almost looked like relief. You came, she whispered. I did. She smiled. You look nice. So do you. And she did. Not flawless, just present. She wore the pin I gave her at graduation, the one she hadn't worn in 10 years. The moderator introduced us. Tonight, we end with a conversation between two women who remind us that family isn't always clean or curated, but it can be mended. I sat in the hard chair beside her. The lights weren't bright, no cameras, just a room full of quiet faces. Vanessa went first. She didn't use her cards. She just looked at the crowd and said, "I once believed that love had to be polished, that you had to hide the hard parts to be worthy of attention. I was wrong." She turned to me. "I told the world my mother didn't fit." She looked back at the audience, voice steady now. "She didn't fit the brand I built. She didn't fit the story I wanted to sell. But what I've learned, what I'm still learning, is that love doesn't need to fit, it needs to hold." A long pause. Then she nodded toward me, and she never let go. I didn't cry. I didn't need to. I stood, slowly, and took the mic. My daughter once replaced me with a stranger. On paper, in photos, and for a moment, in her heart. You could feel the room freeze. But here's what that stranger didn't know, what my daughter had forgotten. I didn't raise her for show. I raised her for storms, for silence, for when no one's clapping. A few quiet gasps, one soft sniffle. I looked at Vanessa, and when she came back, I didn't open my arms. I opened the door. Just a little, enough for her to walk through if she meant it. I held up something from my bag. The button. This belonged to a coat she outgrew. I kept it anyway, just like I kept the love, long after it stopped being easy to hold. Then I reached into my tote and unfolded the quilt. I didn't say anything, just held it high so they could see. Every square, every thread. And at the very end, that last patch. A stitched photo of Vanessa and me at the kitchen table, her hands clumsy but determined as she finished her side of the final seam. The room was silent. Then someone started clapping, then another, and then the whole room was on their feet. Not because it was a performance, because it was real. Vanessa turned to me, eyes shining, and whispered, "You gave me a story that didn't need a filter." I smiled. "No, baby," I said. "I gave you the truth."